Want more of these? Well, break down the door and take what's yours from the bounty team. I can hear the response now, though.
It's not that simple.
So let's dive into how to do that when you're up close and personal in Players Won't Teach It. Boss Lair Siege Part 2. Medium range, close range, and mixed loadouts. Good evening, or good day, it all depends, and welcome back to the ImpossibleIronman channel. Your biggest threat when beginning a siege using medium or close range is going to be the bushes, or at least the plethora of camouflaged and or darkly clothed hunters potentially in them. Once you're close to the borders of the compound when looking at the map, slow down and walk the rest of the way towards the boss lair. The exceptions being if the bounty team sounds like they are trying to leave, or there is a fight in progress and you have to close the distance quickly in order to take advantage of the chaos. If you have time, or if the bounty team is turtling, consider having a member of your team bring a stalker beetle to not only scout your approach, but to also perform some recon on the compound. Knowing what areas are clear will tell you how much of the space you can control in and around the lair once you close in. When your team is using medium-range loadouts, Winfields, Betterleys, carbines, etc., until it's time to breach the main building, staying grouped up will be key to survival. If the bounty team scans and notices you're separated, they will most likely attempt to push out and isolate one player to force a numbers advantage. Staying together will prevent rushes and reduce risk should another team arrive. Rotate around the compound in unison as needed, and have at least one teammate who is functioning as a rear guard. This person doesn't need to be looking away all the time. They should just agree to be more vigilant about teams trying to third party so the others can focus more on the lair. Your goals are now twofold, one reactive, one proactive. Capitalize on mistakes and create opportunities. The reactive half of the siege are things we look for all the time in Hunt PvP. Enemies being out of position, hunters making bad repeaks, pressuring someone who gets attacked by AI, taking shots of opportunity when other teams fight each other, etc. These things are more likely to occur, however, if you can implement the proactive half of the plan. Force movement using chokes or decoy fuses, not necessarily explosives, more on that in a minute. Go for wall bangs if possible. With medium-range weapons, you usually have plenty of reserve ammo to do this. Restrict movement by placing traps near exits. Block entire avenues of escape with concertina bombs, and even bait out bad peeks by faking a rotation or trying to shoot away from the compound to have it appear as if another team is pushing in. I see a lot of players purely using reactive strategies, trying not to make noise by sitting still and staring at windows, only to have the bounty team slip away after nothing happens for 20 minutes. Instead, utilizing these proactive tactics to pressure your opponents into making mistakes is what's going to separate your gameplay from the majority of the player base and ultimately net you more bounty. Once your team manages to get a kill on bounty team, now is the time to breach the lair. This is the most efficient time to use explosives. I say this because virtually every match I play, I see teams run up to a compound, start cooking fuses, and telegraph what they're doing. The team inside just runs to the other side of the building, easily dodges the explosives, and now the attacking team has wasted the majority of their consumables. While you absolutely can try to obtain the first elimination using explosives, try and set it up by first forcing movement. Use wallbangs, decoys, or other throwables like hive bombs to see what direction your opponent moves in. That information will help to tell you where the explosive needs to be thrown for the highest chance of it catching someone. The alert mine trick can further mask your intentions, using the sound from tripping one to block out the sound of a fuse being lit.
Hit one.
All this being said, dynamite and frags are typically better used to either stave off a push or to breach the bounty building. When breaching, they should be used to block a revive attempt as well as to prevent players from holding angles on entrances. Even after forcing movement away from an entrance, for goodness sake, use swerve peaks, running peaks, and jump peaks so you don't get one-tapped as you push in. Traits like Vigilant can come in clutch here, as one well-placed trap can halt a push in its tracks completely. If possible, have each team member use a different entrance, but go in at the same time so as not to stagger in one by one. If done correctly, this can overload the short-term decision-making of most opponents. Not to mention, throwables become difficult to dodge when flying in from multiple directions. Try to lead each corner with a consumable or tool as well, where possible, whether that be another explosive, a decoy, or something like a flashbang. Anything that will make your enemy think twice about sitting still, because if you turn a corner on someone who is waiting for you to do so, you are almost certainly going to die before you get the chance to do anything. This will box in your opponents and leave them with no room to maneuver, allowing your numbers advantage to clean up from there or force the remaining bounty team out into the open. Should the enemy hunters leave the main building, this is your opportunity to take any available high ground control so as to finish the fight. Before we talk about other ways to finish the fight, I'd appreciate it if you subscribed while you're here, as it really helps to continue making guides and analytics videos for everybody. But back to the video. The key difference between the medium range strategy and the close range one is that you'll be pushing to take control of the lair immediately. Shotguns, crossbows, lances, etc. all perform better indoors, meaning the sooner you can take the fight inside, the better. A trait like Dauntless can help to nullify explosives used to ward off a push inside, allowing you to maintain momentum. Being aware of other teams in the surrounding area is also crucial, as you could find yourself getting shot in the back during the breach if you're not careful. Your team may want to prioritize taking out nearby teams first before pushing in if need be. Just remember to position appropriately to avoid getting sandwiched by bounty team, and keep an eye on the objective as teams will often slip away when chaos breaks out. Worst case scenario, if you have a long ammo team taking shots from outside the compound, from an area of dense cover, like a forest, look to control any other indoor areas within the compound. At this point, you either stop the bounty from getting away, capitalize on a fight between other teams, or ambush another team pushing in. This isn't something that should happen regularly, however. Usually, compounds have enough routes inside that will allow your team to take the fight indoors while still breaking line of sight from the outside. So what do you do if your team has brought mixed loadouts? There are two methods that have been the most successful in my testing. The first is straightforward. In trios, go with the majority. 2 shotguns, you're breaching as soon as possible. 2 medium-range players, use the medium-range strategy. In duos, talk it out and decide what is most comfortable between the two of you. The exception being, if someone is playing something like a shotgun and the other is sniping, the shotgun player is going to want to play bodyguard against flanks and aggressive teams, as this is the best way to minimize risk. Should the team have one of each loadout style in trios, however, you'll want to establish a linear formation. You'll want your long-range player outside the compound looking for shots of opportunity as well as monitoring the surrounding area for other teams. Your medium-range player should be looking out for window peeks and looking for wallbangs, and your close-range player should be watching for flanks, punishing aggression, and forcing movement from the bounty team without breaching. The long-range player should have line of sight on the medium-range player, and the medium-range player should have line of sight on the close-range player, hence the linear aspect of the formation. This allows for the team to not only capitalize on opportunities more efficiently, but also lets each player cover the other should they need to heal or fall back. When pressured, the formation should accordion towards the long-range player, ensuring the bounty team gets kited anytime they become aggressive. Should another outside team make their presence known, try to rotate accordingly while maintaining the linear formation. On the flip side, when it comes to time to push in after a kill, the close-range player can hold the revive at bay until the linear formation has grouped up to utilize numbers advantage.
Nice. You got him.
Any questions? Remember that I'm live here on the channel Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 8 p.m. MST. Feel free to stop by and ask any questions you may have about the guide, my content, or Hunt in general, and I'll be happy to answer any you may have. I have a lot of stuff in the works between a drilling analysis, an upper mat analysis, a showcase of the golden rule of Hunt Showdown, as well as a packed discussion, so look forward to those. But until then, good hunting in the bayou, everyone, and I'll see you all on the next one.